Good afternoon, YouTube. Hope everyone had a fantastic week this past week and you're enjoying your weekend. Some crazy shit went down this past week in the land of basketball and it cannot go unnoticed. What kind of shit happened? I'll tell you right after the intro video. No Mercy Sports coming at you, baby!
Nobody can stop me now.
Now, in the last video, I decided to take the generous route and say what a rocky season that the Brooklyn Nets had. Today, I'm throwing that bullshit away because the Nets were a fucking joke this season. From Kyrie being a part-time player to Durant being injured for fucking most of it. But it's okay because somehow the Nets were able to squeak their way to the 7th seed and get into the playoffs. Now, it's the playoffs. And the Nets are going up against a defensive heavyweight in the Boston Celtics. Now, KD and Kyrie are going to show everyone why they're the scariest duo in the league, right? They're going to beat the Celtics in 6, maybe 7 games, right? Fuck no. They got their asses swept. Now, KD and Kyrie have played on some great teams before, forming up in Brooklyn. KD playing at the Golden State Warriors alongside the Splash Brothers being Curry and Clay. While Kyrie was on the Celtics when most of the players they have now were just starting. But it wasn't enough for them. Oh no, they wanted their own squad and they wanted to prove they could do it together. Now be careful what you wish for, guys, because you ended up getting it. KD and Kyrie team up in Brooklyn and are now teammates. 2019 to 2020 doesn't go as planned as they would lose to the Raptors in the first round 4-1. Okay, no big deal. It's your first year together and not everyone can get it done in year one. Hell, LeBron didn't get it done in year one in Miami. Now, 2020 to 2021, they get some traction under their feet and secure the 2 seed. But unfortunately, lose to the Bucks in 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. It's still okay, though. The Nets didn't have Kyrie Irving or recently acquired James Harden. But Durant still balled out and did everything he could to get the Nets to not only the Eastern Conference finals, but also the NBA finals. Now, 2021 to 2022 was an absolute joke. Kyrie was a distraction the whole damn season, talking about wanting to be a leader for people who lost their jobs for being unvaccinated due to New York's COVID policy. How the fuck are you going to be a leader when you're sitting on the damn sideline, unvaccinated mind you, and still getting a fucking payday? Oh, but wait, there's more, ladies and gentlemen. See, KD and Kyrie believe they were above everybody else and didn't need a coach to push them in practice and to propel them above the level that they're already at. Basically, they're just the entitled kids looking to go on a field trip and bring a chaperone along for the ride. And that's exactly what they get, too, when they both handpick Steve Nash to be the head coach. What a fucking blunder that ends up being. As in the playoffs, the dude was essentially being a basketball version of Jason fucking Garrett, just standing there clapping. On top of that, Durant is showing little to no emotion in the playoffs against the Celtics, and the only thing Kyrie is doing is just fucking shooting. These motherfuckers couldn't lead a horse to water and make it drink. Here's the saddest part. In Game 2, Durant's own fucking mother is berating the ref and showing more emotion than fucking Nash on the sideline. Fast forward to Game 3, there are celebrities, Mary J. Blige in specific, in the stands showing more emotion than KD and Irving combined. If that's not unfucking believable, I don't know what is. Here's the even saddest part. In 2021, without Harden and Irving, Durant was doing everything in his power to get the Nets past the Bucks to not only the Eastern Conference Finals, but the NBA Finals. Fast forward to this year, and this man isn't even motivated to win one fucking game. This man gets No sympathy and no remorse for me whatsoever. The only time he decided to show up was Game 4, putting up 39 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds, but couldn't score 30 plus in the previous 3 games. Jordan scored 60 fucking 3 points against a Celtics team that had 5 Hall of Famers on the floor in 86. Fucking pathetic, if you ask me. Okay, now, can I have everyone's attention? Will the real Ben Simmons please stand up? I repeat, will the real Ben Simmons please stand up? Oh, Ben Simmons. Once considered if he worked on his three-point shooting, he would be on LeBron's level of talent. Now, one would think that, but he's been in an absolute shit show since requesting a trade from Philly. Don't believe me? Get ready for some play stupid games, win stupid prizes type shit. So Ben Simmons makes it known he doesn't want to play for the Philadelphia 76ers anymore. The 76ers, respond by not paying him if he's wanting a trade and not wanting to play with them. However, Simmons' agent finds a loophole in his contract saying if he's going through something like mental health problems or something like that, the Sixers still have to pay him. The Sixers think nothing of it, continue to pay him, and offer him help by recommending doctors he can go to get help, since he has mental issues, of course. Now, Simmons declines and decides he wants to go to his own doctor since he knows what he's talking about. Some time passes, and the Sixers and Nets make a trade, sending Simmons and other players to the Nets, and Harden, who got the last laugh, but we'll get into that in a bit, to the Sixers. So with Simmons on a different team and getting what he wanted, he's going to return during the regular season and ball out, right? The Nets are in a better position to win the championship, right? Wrong. As soon as Simmons gets to Brooklyn, he doesn't play a single fucking game. Instead, he's saying he's having back problems and dealing with a herniated disc in his back. Okay, no big deal. A herniated disc hurts. I'm sure of this. But this is about what a joke Ben Simmons is. So bear with me here. Anyways, Simmons is hyping up his return for the playoffs, which the Nets, by the hair on their chinny chin chin, are able to get into. The playoffs come around and Simmons continues to say he's dealing with mental issues, but he will make his debut in Game 4. 3 games go by and the Nets are down 3-0 and Simmons decides he's not going to be in Game 4, that he's still dealing with back problems and mental issues. My guy, do you know how damn demeaning it is that you're constantly saying you're still dealing with mental issues and back problems, yet instead of getting the help, you're sitting on the sideline fucking peacocking and being the center of attention for sideline reporters? Oy, I get it. Physical and psychological problems are no joke. But when this man is doing what he's been doing, claiming he's been going through this kind of crap, but will still show up to these games wearing the outfits that he's been wearing, he gets no sympathy or remorse from me. Like I said before, Ben Simmons has got to be the biggest and softest clown I have ever seen in my life. The absolute biggest waste of talent and joke, not only in the NBA, but probably in NBA history. Now, if you guys know someone who's a bigger joke than Ben Simmons, comment below and give your reason why. Because this guy is soft and has no competitive fire. Now, earlier I had mentioned that while playing for the Nets, Harden was requesting to get traded. I, along with others, saw it as Harden doing exactly what he did in Houston. Just being an absolute diva and not wanting to be the only big name player out there putting up numbers. However, knowing what a joke the Nets season ended up being, it's now understandable why he wanted out of Brooklyn. Had he stayed in Brooklyn and continued to put up with that circus of a team they ended up being, everything he was doing in Houston would have looked like a little chat over tea. With Harden being in Philly and bowling out with Joel Embiid, the Sixers claimed the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Now in the playoffs and playing the Raptors, the Sixers went up 3-0 on Toronto and looked as if they were going to sweep the Raptors out of the playoffs. You'd think that, right? But we'll get to that in a minute. As I said, before the entire season for the Brooklyn Nets was an absolute joke from Kyrie being a part-time player and getting a pass to sit on the sidelines being unvaccinated while regular people were losing their jobs because they were unvaccinated due to New York's COVID policy, to KD failing to show up the first 3 games against the Celtics only to ball out for 1 game and still ended up getting swept. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in Tinseltown, if you know what I'm talking about. Aside from the Nets, the Lakers, with the amount of talent that they had this season, were also picked to not only stand alone at the top of the Western Conference, but also meet the Nets in the finals and also win, according to certain analysts. Unfortunately for them, it didn't happen that way, as the Lakers season was a slow-motion train wreck. Lakers star LeBron James took to Twitter in August, blasting anyone talking about the Lakers' age, how they play, their injury history, the list goes on, and that we should keep that same energy. Well, LeBron, the age of your teammates was on full display this season, and you fuckers failed to make the fucking playoffs. With both the Nets and Lakers having a very disappointing season, which team was the bigger disappointment? I honestly say that both teams were a disappointment, but the Lakers edged out the Nets with the kind of talent they had. You had LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, acquired in a trade, and Dwight Howard. All players who have had numerous All-Star appearances, multiple MVP awards, defensive powerhouses, the list goes on. Again, LeBron tweeted saying to lay off his squad because of their age, how they play, and history, and for us to keep the same energy when it begins. Well, LeBron, that's exactly what we did, as the Lakers would limp literally to a 33-49 record and miss the playoffs. 2 teams who were considered to dominate the league because of their talent failed to live up to the hype and had miserably failed seasons. Embarrassing. Let's take a different direction. Last year, the Atlanta Hawks, led by Trae Young, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, only to come up short and lose to the eventual championship-winning Milwaukee Bucks. However, this year they barely squeaked into the playoffs, grabbing the 8th seed against the Cavs, and would go up against the top-seeded Miami Heat. With the success the Hawks had last year, they're bound to make this series against the Heat a good one, right? Trae Young is going to put on a show against the Heat, right? Well, not exactly. Game 1, he finished with only 8 points, shooting 1 for 12 from the field and going 0 for 7 from three-point land. Game 2 was essentially better than Game 1, as Young would finish with 25 points while shooting 10 for 20 from the field. However, he would go ice cold from three-point land, shooting 2 for 10. Game 3 would be a different story, as the Hawks would walk away with the win, 111-110. However, it would be a different story for Trae Young, as he would finish with 24 points, shooting 6 for 14 from the field, and a decent 2 for 6 from three-point land. Game 4 was an embarrassment for the Hawks, as they would lose 110-86, while Young finished with only 9 fucking points, shooting 3 for 10, both from three-point land and the field. Now it's a do-or-die situation from the Hawks. If they lose this game, they are going home and taking an early vacation. While it was a nail-biter down to the finish, can't say the same for Trae Young. Young would finish the game with 11 measly fucking points, shooting 2 for 12 from the field and not hitting a single three-pointer on 5 attempts. Now, close to the end of the game, on Miami's channel on TV, I heard one of the Heat commentators say that Trae Young's range was unlimited. Motherfucker, what? He's been ice fucking cold from three-point land since the beginning of the series, and you're going to sit there and say his range is unlimited? The Heat's defense was suffocating this little bastard. Now, I remember a time back in 2018 leading up to the draft, ESPN was hyping Trae Young up when he was playing at Oklahoma. What kind of player he was and what kind of shooting he possessed. It did surprise me that after ESPN did a story on him, Oklahoma would go on a losing streak and lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I'm honestly glad that Dallas traded for Luka with Atlanta during the draft. Right now, Dallas is in a position to move on to the next round, while Atlanta is taking an early vacation on Young's ice-cold shooting from both the field and three-point land. Now, granted, he's been in the league for 4 years, but after this kind of performance in the playoffs, he's got some real practice to do this fucking offseason. You're going to tell me that you're going to be the next Curry to shoot, and you're going to shoot like that? Now, the first round of the NFL draft happened Thursday, and what a first round it was. Some big-time winners and some big-time losers just from the first round alone. Whew. We'll get to the winners in a bit. For now, we're going to talk about the losers. I've mentioned the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers dilemma in some past episodes, and also mentioned that since the Packers, or Lakers, as I should be, or Lackers as I should be calling them, and Rodgers came to a new deal, the Lackers should make some moves in the draft and get a wide receiver with Adams heading to Las Vegas. However, the Lackers decided to use their 2 first-round picks to get defensive players. Now, with that, I only have this to say. Have you lost your motherfucking mind, Green Bay? No! I ain't finished with you. You mean to tell me you had 2 picks in the first round and you used them to build your fucking defense? I'm still not finished with you. You've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and in the 20 years you've had picks in the first round, you don't pick up a receiver and decide to pick up a receiver in the second round and beyond? Rodgers, I hope you're taking this shit to heart and plan on burying the fucking Lackers. After the first round alone, Green Bay could be on the fast track to going back to being the Chicago Bears bitch. Okay, with that out of the way, time to move on to another loser of the draft, the San Francisco 49ers. If you haven't heard about the dilemma going on in the Bay Area, get a load of this shit. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel requested a trade because he was fed up with how the Niners were using him. From wide receiver to running back to I don't know what next. Fucking kick returner, punt returner. In any case, so many receivers were getting a huge fucking payday this offseason. Deebo was looking to land one too. At first, San Fran wasn't open to it because of how much Deebo was being used. But since he requested a trade, they were open to a discussion. There's a point to this, so bear with me. So draft night rolls around and rumors are speculating that Deebo could end up with the Jets. Before the pick gets to the Jets are willing to trade their first round pick, being the 10th choice, to land Deebo. However, the 49ers declined as they would proclaim they don't want to move on from Deebo. San Francisco, you're either dumb or just plain stupid because you're giving Deebo what he wants. And you stupid idiots are getting the 10th pick in the first round. But hey, it's your funeral if you want to keep digging your fucking graves. Now, enough talking about the losers. It's time to move on to the winners of the draft. I'm a Giants fan, and I've seen the Giants suck for quite a long time. However, after the first round of the draft, the Giants walked away winners, drafting a defensive end and a much-needed lineman. The Giants weren't the only New York team to walk away winners in the first round, as the Jets would come out guns blazing and do what it takes to land top prospects to add to their already growing team. While both the New York teams came away with great draft picks in the first round, can the draft picks perform to the levels of expectations and produce the results on the field and get wins for their teams? We shall see this upcoming season. The Sixers, as I mentioned earlier, a team who was considered to be a serious contender in the East, found themselves up 3-0, 3-1 on a Raptors team they clearly should have either swept or beat in a gentleman's sweep. It wouldn't go that way for Philly, as Toronto would battle back and make it a 3-2 series. With Philly up 3-2 on the Raptors, it seemed Doc Rivers' history of blowing a 3-1 lead would be rearing its ugly head, and Rivers would have 3-1 blown leads. Fortunately, it didn't happen, as the Sixers would rout the Raptors in Game 6, 132-97. After a blowout like this, does this make Philly a serious contender in the East? I'm going to say no, because Philly had a commanding lead on the Raptors and should have finished them when they had their foot on their necks. If they can't keep their shit together and finish the series when it's a closeout game, Philly is going to have a hard time in these playoffs against teams like the Bucks, Heat, and the Celtics. Wow! So much craziness happened this week that the episode was barely able to fucking contain it. Who knows what's going to happen next week, but always keep your eyes peeled for weekly episodes. As always, be sure to leave your comments below on the topics that were covered, and be sure to smash that like and subscribe button to help this channel grow. Unfortunately, I won't be making any more videos for the next few weeks, as I will be gone. But I will be back and have another episode ready for y'all. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out, baby.